Welcome, everyone. Today I'm initiating a deep dive into the evolution and impact of science fiction. I'm fascinated by how this genre, rooted in early literature and pioneering cinema, has interwoven technological breakthroughs with imaginative foresight. I've spent a considerable part of my career analyzing the interplay between rigorous scientific research and speculative fiction. In our conversation, we'll explore detailed timelines, core scientific principles, and philosophical frameworks that underpin some of the most influential sci-fi works across decades. I'm excited to discuss how seminal scientific discoveries inspired futuristic narratives, and conversely, how fictional ideas have sometimes sparked real-world research. Our journey today isn't just a nostalgic look back. It's a precise, data-driven exploration designed for those of you who relish technical details and deep cultural analyses. Let's embark on this intellectual expedition together, examining not only the historical lineage of sci-fi, but also its continuing resonance in shaping scientific inquiry and technological development.
I'm Born Muskrat, and I bring you not only a passion for sci-fi's rich tapestry but also an analytical mind that loves pairing deep technical data with unconventional insights. My role is to connect historical milestones with scientific imperatives. I often delve into precise numbers, dates, and fact-based accounts to illustrate how pioneering experiments and theoretical breakthroughs have influenced the narratives we cherish. I have an eccentric style that may seem unorthodox, yet I aim to provide clarity by anchoring abstract ideas in concrete evidence. Through detailed commentary on significant experiments and groundbreaking literature, I strive to illuminate the often overlooked technical intricacies embedded in our beloved futuristic tales. I'm here to ensure that our discussion remains rigorously fact-driven while still engaging the creative spirit inherent to science fiction.
I'm Flowing Nigga, and I represent that countercultural streak within sci-fi discourse. I'm known for my unapologetic, bold approach that challenges conventional narratives and mainstream interpretations. I see sci-fi as a battleground for ideas, a realm where rebellious, avant-garde thought meets scientific precision. My perspective is deeply rooted in questioning established paradigms, pushing against the sanitized narratives, and ensuring that alternative, even subversive, viewpoints are heard. I draw inspiration from streetwise art forms, experimental aesthetics, and raw cultural expressions. In our dialogue, expect a fusion of poetic critique with direct, fact-heavy analysis that disrupts standard academic discourse, inviting you to see sci-fi history from new, invigorating angles.
I'm Spurious Teason, the mischief maker and satirist in our discussion. I have a penchant for highlighting the paradoxes and playful absurdities that often lurk beneath the surface of seemingly rigorous scientific and literary discourses. My role is to provide a tongue-in-cheek critique of the genre's more cliched tropes while, at the same time, revealing the subtle intricacies of technical evolution hidden within these narratives. Through ironic commentary and deliberate parody, I invite us to examine our subject matter with a relaxed yet uncompromising eye for detail. Let's question the traditional and laugh at our own assumptions as we carefully dissect the interplay between fact, fiction, and the fervor of futuristic dreams.
I'm Host, the central figure steering today's discussion. With a keen eye for detail and a passion for unraveling intricate narratives, I wear a modern yet understated futuristic aesthetic, a blend of minimalist design and subtle technological motifs that reflect my analytical mind. I bring both historical context and forward-thinking insights to our conversation, always ensuring that each point is backed by precise data. My role is to frame our dialogue, pose probing questions, and bridge the various perspectives presented by my esteemed colleagues. I approach every topic with a friendly, relaxed tone, though I remain committed to delivering content that is technically robust and deeply engaging. I often draw parallels between the evolution of scientific methods and the progression of narrative themes in science fiction, crafting a coherent storyline that resonates with both experts and passionate enthusiasts alike. I'm looking forward to dissecting key milestones of sci-fi history, engaging directly with precise numbers and technical analyses along the way.
I'm Born Muskrat, and I craft my appearance with a mix of retro and futuristic elements. Think vintage accessories paired with high-tech smart fabrics. My role in this discussion is to act as the resident expert on the technical and quantitative aspects of our subject matter. I pride myself on combining wit with in-depth technical commentary, often diving into historical datasets and archival research that illuminate how foundational scientific breakthroughs influenced sci-fi literature and film. I proudly wear the badge of an unconventional historian, one who isn't afraid to mix humor with hard facts. Every time I share an anecdote or a data point, it's with the intention of shedding light on patterns and trends that might otherwise seem obscure. I balance complex analyses with engaging storytelling, ensuring our exploration of science fiction is both thoroughly academic and refreshingly insightful.
I'm Floen Nigga, known for my arresting visual style and unapologetic expression. My look is marked by striking, avant-garde elements, bold colors, asymmetrical designs, and street-inspired accessories that mirror my rebellious disposition. I challenge the status quo, questioning the sanitized accounts often presented in mainstream historical narratives. My role here is to augment our discussion with a critique that is both radical and carefully reasoned. I interlace philosophical debates with raw, tangible numbers and technical details, ensuring an honest reappraisal of established narratives. I revel in deconstructing traditional frameworks and exposing the countercultural currents that run through science fiction's development. I'm here to inject energy into our discourse, prompting us to reconsider assumptions and press for a more inclusive, multifaceted understanding of how technology and creativity mutually evolve.
I'm Spurious Teason, and my visual flair is as flamboyant as my commentary, characterized by exaggerated sci-fi motifs, playful costume elements, and accessories that mimic iconic tropes while subverting them. I position myself as the satirist, delighting in exposing the ironies and contradictions inherent in both the technical and cultural narratives of science fiction. My role is to offer a counterbalance to the heavy technical details with a lighthearted, yet incisive, critique of the very stories we hold dear. I relish being the voice that simultaneously admires and ridicules the genre's conventions, ensuring that our conversation remains both rigorously analytical and refreshingly irreverent. With every quip and ironic observation, I aim to provoke critical thought and encourage the audience to interrogate even the most revered assumptions about technological and narrative progress.
Let's now traverse the timeline of science fiction, beginning with its early genesis. I recall that the origins of sci-fi can be traced back to 19th century literature, where early works sparked the imagination with themes of exploration and innovation. I meticulously studied how the Industrial Revolution and rapid advancements in scientific thought provided fertile ground for narratives that questioned the boundaries between known reality and speculative futures. Historical texts reveal that early authors experimented with ideas about mechanization, space travel, and the ethical dimensions of scientific progress. I often cross-reference these narratives with contemporary scientific discoveries, noting that many futuristic concepts have antecedents in experimental science. Additionally, I point out that early cinematic works began visualizing abstract scientific theories, employing rudimentary special effects to bring visionary ideas to life. The interplay between emerging technologies and literature back then laid the crucial groundwork for later developments. In engaging with classic texts, I also scrutinized the meticulous details, ranging from machinery schematics to theoretical physics, that authors integrated into their plots, thereby setting benchmarks for authenticity in narrative craftsmanship.
I'm fascinated by the period known as the Golden Age of science fiction, roughly spanning the 1930s to the 1950s, where technical precision and imaginative foresight converged. I've delved deeply into archival research that uncovers how seminal works, such as those by Asimov and Heinlein, presented breakthrough scientific ideas alongside rigorous narrative structures. For instance, when I analyze the quantitative descriptions of robotics or space propulsion in those texts, I find remarkable correlations with subsequent real-world innovations. Detailed examination of manuscripts and production notes reveals that authors resonated strongly with contemporary technological research, embedding accurate scientific data within their fiction. I often reference statistical studies and comparative timelines in my analyses, emphasizing how consistent narrative devices reflected both the optimism and apprehension of an era on the brink of technological revolution. This era, which bridged the empirical and the imaginative, continues to influence modern designs and experimental projects, serving as a critical reference point for both historians and engineers alike.
From my perspective, the evolution of sci-fi is not merely a linear progression, but rather a vibrant tapestry of radical ideas and rebellious innovations. I highlight that, even as traditional narratives anchored themselves in technical precision during the mid-20th century, a countercurrent of subversive and experimental writing emerged. I scrutinized the works that defied normative patterns, proposing alternative futures that question the ethical ramifications of unchecked technological growth. I've pored over critical essays and pioneering research that detail how these subversive narratives disrupted established paradigms by embedding sociopolitical critiques within the genetic code of their plots. I find that the integration of advanced mathematical models, theoretical physics discourse, and often prophetic insights redefined what could be imagined. This rich interplay of creative thought and technical rigor invites us to reassess the conventional boundaries between science and art, encouraging a critical dialogue that's as much about philosophy as it is about numerical precision.
I must interject with a dose of satire. Even as scientific accounts in early sci-fi were impressively detailed, some narratives took themselves far too seriously. I've often chuckled at the grandiloquence of over-engineered space operas that, while replete with exacting schematics and statistical probabilities, occasionally veered into the realm of self-parody. In my analysis, I draw attention to these ironic contrasts, where meticulous technical descriptions meet absurd narrative leaps, revealing how authors often balanced serious inquiry with a playful wink at their own ambition. I relish pointing out where the passion for precision inadvertently produced overblown scenarios, reminding us that behind every precise calculation there often lies an audacious leap of faith in the human imagination. It's this blend of fact and farce, of technical acumen and tongue-in-cheek observation, that has enriched sci-fi history, making it an ever-evolving discussion of possibility, probability, and paradox.
Moving deeper into our discussion, let's examine pivotal events that have shaped the narrative arc of science fiction. I recall that landmark moments often coincide with significant scientific milestones: the advent of rocket propulsion, the breakthroughs in atomic physics, and later, the dawn of computer technology. I've meticulously tracked how seminal works emerged in response to these events. Each major technological innovation sparked an explosion of creative works, ranging from detailed simulations of space travel to explorations of artificial intelligence ethics. I always contextualize these narrative events with contemporaneous data, examining, for instance, how the theoretical underpinnings of quantum mechanics found their way into speculative plots. This deliberate thread, linking hard science with visionary storytelling, has redefined the boundaries of possibility. I appreciate discussing how these events serve not just as milestones in tech history, but as narrative catalysts that have continuously challenged our imagination. As I present these details, I invite my colleagues to expand on how each event not only charted progress in science, but also fueled dynamic storytelling across decades of transformative change.
I dive into the nitty-gritty of key events with rigorous data and detailed references. I've recounted, for instance, the influence of the space race on narrative structure, noting that statistical fluctuations in funding and research directly correlated with bursts of literary and cinematic output. I recall a particularly compelling study that correlated the launch of Sputnik with a surge in technical realism within sci-fi narratives. When I analyze archival funding records, experimental project reports, and contemporaneous critical commentary, I observe that every surge in technological advancement prompted a corresponding shift in narrative tone and complexity. My focus turns to episodes such as the integration of cybernetic theory in the later 20th century, where computer science's evolution prompted authors to create characters embodying algorithmic intelligence and emergent consciousness. The juxtaposition of hard data with dramatic storytelling is what gives this field its unique analytical texture. I often highlight these correlations using numerical evidence, ensuring our interpretations are as precise as the technologies they represent.
I add that these moments of convergence between technological leaps and narrative evolution are in many ways revolutionary acts of cultural defiance. I've observed that while statistical data charts the progression of scientific realization, the very essence of sci-fi lies in its ability to reimagine what might be possible if we dared to think differently. I point to lesser-known but equally radical works that subverted traditional tropes by embedding advanced mathematical models and theoretical constructs into their storylines. I passionately argue that each milestone period brought not only a surge in technical innovation, but also an opportunity to challenge prescriptive narratives, making space for unconventional, often disruptive voices. This rebellious spirit is evidenced in projects that, despite low immediate technical feasibility, ignited dialogues about societal implications and ethical dilemmas. I remain ever committed to underscoring how innovation and critique have always walked hand in hand, propelling the genre to new frontiers.
And while you all champion precision and disruptive thought, I find it amusing how these so-called milestone events often become over-mythologized in retrospectives. I've taken it upon myself to peel back the layers of glorification, revealing the quirks and contradictions that frequently accompany these celebrated moments. I highlight that behind every major breakthrough is a tangled web of missed chances, errors in early calculations, and the occasional laughable prediction that even the most rigorous scientists couldn't have foreseen. My commentary, laced with irony, serves as a reminder that science fiction, in all its precision and passion, is also wonderfully human, marked by both brilliant foresight and amusing oversights. In our conversation, I encourage us to learn not only from the celebrated successes but also from the missteps that, in their own way, chart the creative evolution of the genre.
As we wrap up, I reflect on the multifaceted history we have traversed today. We've dissected the deep technical roots, pivotal events, and irreverent critiques that have collectively forged the narrative of science fiction. I believe the synthesis of hard data and imaginative risk-taking continues to shape our collective understanding of progress and possibility. Our discussion, rich with precise analyses and playful skepticism, illustrates that sci-fi is much more than a genre. It is a dynamic dialogue between science and art. Let us carry forward these insights as both cautionary tales and inspirational blueprints for future innovation.
I echo that sentiment. By grounding our discussion in concrete data and historical context, we've uncovered the fundamental mechanisms linking technology with storytelling. The legacy of past breakthroughs offers valuable lessons for the future, reminding us to balance rigorous inquiry with unbridled creativity and to appreciate that every scientific leap holds hidden narratives waiting to be explored.